Well, thanks for meeting with me,
You're
Sallie.
welcome.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself in the context of holistic management?
Sure. Well, I'm a cattle rancher and was introduced to holistic management shortly after purchasing a cattle ranch, knowing absolutely nothing about being a cattle rancher. So I was open to new ideas, basically adopted, got very intrigued by it, and actually decided to become a cattle manager because of this idea that it might be possible to restore California's native perennial grasses. That was actually why I decided to be a cattle rancher. I'm really a grass rancher, not a cattle rancher, but cattle are a tool to accomplish that. So then from there, got trained in holistic management, got involved with Holistic Management International, and met a lot of very interesting people all over the world who practice holistic management. So HM
cool.
people are the most fun people I know of to hang out with.
No kidding.
So that's partly why.
What makes them so fun to hang out?
Because they are all curious.
Really?
They are all curious, and they are all open-minded, and they're all always trying to figure stuff out. You know, if I do this, what will happen? Or if I don't do this, what will happen? So they're all thinking, you know, there's nobody who adopts holistic management at this point in time thinks they know the answer.
That's a pretty good qualification for a human being, really, isn't it?
Yes, I would agree with that. But many people who manage land think they do know the answers.
Yeah.
So I love holistic management people.
That's great. Why did you love this idea of restoring perennial grasses to California grasslands?
That's a much harder question to answer. As I said, I used to garden with California native perennial grasses, and just this idea that they used to be here and were gone. For some reason, grasses have just attracted to my attention. I'm not generally that interested in endangered species or, you know, loss of biodiversity, but for 30 years, California's perennial grasses have interested me. And there's really no rational explanation for that, I would say. I don't know.
And I haven't spent a lot of time in California, but I've been here a number of times, and I never heard this story about perennial grasses here. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, so as I was saying, our California grasslands are 99.999% these exotic annual grasses. And no one is quite sure what we had before the Spanish came. There clearly was more perennial grass. There are California native perennial grasses, and there's a big debate going about how much of it used to be annual grassland and how much used to be perennial. But I think the latest thinking is that, for example, where our ranch is, was probably the center of thousands of square miles of perennial grassland. That seems to be the most likely answer. So they probably weren't everywhere, but they probably were over much of the part of California that's now annual. And so there's this idea of bringing back California native perennial grasses just because it would be cool.
Yeah.
But then, of course, once you learn about carbon, once you learn about soil carbon, and you learn about biodiversity, well, we will sequester a lot more carbon if we return our grasslands to being perennial grasslands. And I believe also I can grow a lot more forage and feed a lot more cattle because I will grow more grass in an average year if I can bring perennial grasses back. So it went from this sort of kind of strange, meaningless idea, sort of, to something that actually has lots of other benefits to it if we are successful.